So again, good morning class. And as I was saying, PHP is similar to a hamburger with HTML as the top bun or the bottom bun. Cascading style sheets are similar to the tomatoes, the relishes, and the beef patty is similar to PHP, which is the meat of the matter. Now let's proceed. Aside from that, there's also JavaScript, like the lettuce. So think of it like another additional component which can make PHP better. Okay, so let's talk about PHP then. So what is PHP? PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. That's why it's called PHP. It's a server-side scripting language designed specifically for the web, and it is originally meant as personal homepage, which was created in 1994 by Rasmus Lerdorf. What then is a PHP file? A PHP file contains text, HTML tags, and scripts. Aside from that, they are returned to the browser as plain HTML. And PHP files have an extension of .php. So why do we use PHP? PHP runs on different operating systems like Windows, Linux, Unix, and the like. PHP is also compatible with almost all servers used today, like Apache. IIS is for Windows or the Microsoft Technologies Internet Information Service. That's what it means, or services. And then PHP supports many databases like MySQL, Informix, Oracle, and the like. The good thing about PHP is that it is an open source software, so it is free. And it's also easy to learn and runs efficiently on the server side. So this is how it works. You have your client. So think of it like the client, this one, is, let's say, I'm going to use Facebook as an example. Let's say let's use a certain name of a client or you end user. Let's say Catriona. Catriona is trying to access her Facebook account. So what happens is that she sends a request to the web server of Facebook by typing in her username and password. And then it is sent to the PHP interpreter. From the PHP interpreter, if everything is in order, so it will now proceed to the file system. So the file system of Facebook will have to be accessed. There's also the server, the database server, wherein Catriona's records will be searched. Afterwards, it will be returned. So it goes back to the PHP interpreter, to the web server, and then back to Catriona. Let's say Catriona then wants to check her email messages. So all she has to do is again log in to her email account and it goes to the web server. Take note that the web server is a tangible hardware component, okay, of this particular PHP cycle. Then it goes to the PHP interpreter and then it goes to the mail server of Catriona. So let's say her mail Gmail, I mean her mail server is Gmail, Google Mail. In that case, the Google Mail server will be accessed. Afterwards, the PHP interpreter will transfer the file to the web server and back to Catriona. So that's what happens when there is an end user who would like to access his or her files on the web using PHP. And then, now let's proceed. where do we start? So as I've mentioned, you can actually, this is for, remember, for PHP. You need to install either Apache or IIS on your own server, or you can also install PHP and MySQL. So these are the steps. Of course, you have to make sure you have a copy of it. There's also XAMPP, XAMPP, which is X is actually uh, sort of like undefined. It can work on all operating systems. So to install that, all you have to do is run and extract the package in a folder following the installation wizard. And then there's also installing PHP, Apache, and MySQL. Just for your information, guys, before I proceed to the PHP function or syntax, I want you to be aware that whenever, let me just type it here. So if you hear WAMP, okay, what we'll be using is WAMP because many are Windows users. So this is Windows, the operating system. Apache is A, MySQL is M, and P is PHP. So Windows, this is your operating system. Okay. Some you could use LAMP or SAMP. Okay. And then Apache is your web server. Okay. MySQL will be your database. And then for PHP, this is your programming language. So that's what actually happens whenever you're going to use PHP. You need the following. So it's like a suite or a bundle. And so we're talking about bundles. So take note, it cannot work if you have one component missing. All of them should be found in your computer. So to test if the installation is working, you can actually type this PHP info. If you click on that, it will actually give you, of course, information about PHP. And then installing, so I've mentioned about this. Then these are the tools to build PHP scripts. So you can use Dreamweaver, as I've mentioned, Notepad++, or Ultra Edit. For the integrated development environment, you can actually use the features of the programming editor. You can debug also. You can test. FTP, guys, if you hear about FTP, this is file transfer protocol. So when we go to your, let me type it, protocol. So when we go to web hosting, this is needed. Okay, so that's FTP, the protocol that is helping us web developers to upload our web pages or the website to the web host, and it becomes live. So examples are Dreamweaver and also Zen. So this is an example of an HTML script, but here is the embedded PHP script or PHP file. I mean PHP code. Okay, so that's just an example. So in lab, we'll have a demonstration later. Okay, so to open a block of PHP code in a page, you can use one of these four sets of opening and closing tags. The short style, wherein you only have question marks aside from your angle brackets. So there. The other style is you have the angle bracket, question mark, and then PHP. And then you have it's a delimiter, PHP delimiter, meaning it has to have the closing tag. So you have the question mark and the angle bracket. Another style is the script style, which is angle bracket, script, and then you have the language equals PHP. And then, of course, the closing tag. And the last is the ASP style, wherein you have angle bracket and then percent sign. What we will be using is XML style. XML stands for, if you haven't heard about it yet, XML, Extensible Markup Language. That's what XML is. So if you know Pag-asa, how they do the weather, it's actually using XMLs, okay, or Extensible Markup Language. And then, so this is now the PHP statements and white spaces. So it's an instruction that tells PHP to perform an action. Example, echo hello world. And each statement should end with a semicolon. So that's what happens. So the PHP interpreter condenses all sequential white spaces in PHP scripts to a single white space. And a while ago, I showed to you PHP info. This is what happens when you type. Let's type it again. So if you use this particular code, PHP info, then this is what you get. Okay, this is the output. So like what it says here, all the information about PHP in your computer will be shown. So like it says, let me just show to you here. This is the version. And this is the configuration file. This is also the loaded configuration file. So it's using this folder, SAMP, then Apache, and so on and so forth. So you'll get to try that in our lab class after you have installed your WAMP. So for the code block, it is simply a series of statements enclosed between two braces. So look at this. I have two curly braces here and here. And then you have for the comment, similar to C programming, right? So you have two forward slashes. Now for the function call, you just have to put the parenthesis beside the function. Okay, so this is the ever famous, oops, sorry, that's the ever famous hello world. Let me just stop the screen sharing first. I'm sorry. Let me go back to my screen sharing. I mean. Okay, so far I've shown to you the different components, concepts of PHP. So just to recap, I've shown to you the hamburger, right? Wherein you're actually using, I use it as an analogy to explain to you that PHP is similar to that particular concept. And so let me just show it back to you. And so I've shown to you this and the different concepts, right? But then I want you to understand why do you use PHP? It's because you are, so this is the yeah, there it is. So I already explained to you that you need HTML also in PHP. Okay, so like what the hamburger analogy meant. And as I've also mentioned, you can use cascading style sheets if you'd like to add to your file, right? To make it better and also to make it more, some would call probably the website more appealing. And in the end, you can commercialize it so that you can sell it to future clients. Okay, so with that, that's the end of the lecture about the PHP concepts, the sample script, and the PHP syntax.